from the city of Livingston. They must have found out I was coming because the crowd's kind of sparse, it looks like. No, Bid called me and wanted me to give a program, and so what I'm going to do today is we're going to tag team you. I'm going to give a little short program. I'm going to recap 2020 for the year. Then I'm going to talk about some of the things, the major things that we did get accomplished in 2020. And then I'm going to talk about some of the exciting new things and new businesses that are going to be coming to our community here pretty soon. And then I'm going to turn it over to Josh Mohler, our city fire marshal, and he's going to give a little brief program on fire safety. But 2020, let's talk COVID. It arrived for me in February, and of course, as we all know, it's still here, unfortunately. You know, I've got some dear friends that they have the luxury with all the modern technology. They can actually work from home for what they do. Unfortunately, with the city business, we can't do that. It's very important that we show up to work every day. We have got to provide our citizens with all the essential services, and so somebody's got to do it. And so one of the things that we had to combat with is that if an employee is tested positive for COVID, then that employee immediately is sent home and to start medication and start hopefully on the road to recovery. And that's a minimum of 10 days that employee is off. Now, I know different type businesses, they have different protocols and things like that, but that's the one that we adopted. We adopted 10 days, and then the last 3 days, absolutely no symptoms and absolutely no fever. And you can't have taken any kind of aspirin, Tylenol, anything like to assist with controlling that fever. So that was our rule. Plus, you also had, if any other, like coworker, come in contact with that person also was sent home. Even if they didn't have any kind of symptoms, they had to go into isolation protocol. And what we developed is, on our own, is a minimum of 5 days. That coworker who was around the coworker that tested positive, they get sent home, and if they start having symptoms, then immediately they would go get tested. And then they would start their 10 days if it was positive. If they didn't have any symptoms after 5 days, they were allowed to come back to work. So, I say all that because keep in mind, the city has a lot of departments, and most of these departments are pretty small. Case in point, our electrical department only has 6 guys. So you can do the math pretty quickly. If you have two guys that come down with positive tests, they've been around their co-workers. We could lose the whole department just like that, which we could not afford that. So one of the first things that we had to do is I got all of my department heads together, and we started doing shift work basically. We split the employees up week by week. Half would work 1 week, the other half they would go home. And yes, we paid them basically to stay healthy, because what we wanted to do, just in case those workers that were out in the community working, if they got sick, then I wouldn't lose the whole department. I'd still have some guys I could bring in from on call. Those that are home, they were instructed to stay at home unless there are certain things, food and things like that, that they were allowed, but basically they were getting paid to stay home and stay well. Now, keep in mind, the work doesn't go away, but you only have half the workforce. So our city employees, basically, they had to double up. And I'm standing here before you to let you know I'm so proud of our employees. Very, very few complaints and issues that came up over the year. So they worked their tails off, and we've got a lot to be proud of with our employees, and just wanted to pass that along. As you well know, we had to close City Hall for a while. Until we had things in place, we had to get a big plexiglass over the front desk in the lobby, so people come in to make their payments and, more importantly, pick up their trash bags. You don't mess with City of Livingston's citizens with their trash bags. It's huge for these folks. And so just like everyone else in town, you have to use your imagination. Trash bags wouldn't fit through the drive-through window. So what the girls did is they learned how to pass those boxes of bags through the second window, right past the drive-through. And it worked out pretty good for the most part, but kudos to them for that. Then the other thing, and I know Dr. Hawkins can relate to this as well, just because COVID is among us, allergies are still out there. Stomach bug is out there, and the common flu is still there. So everybody's kind of real nervous anyway to begin with, and if you're in a room and someone starts sneezing, or worse, they start throwing up, everybody freaks out. And so yes, there were a few times where we probably overreacted, but I'd send them directly to get, testing, and not allow them to come back until we know for sure if they're there or not, but that's just part of it. And Lord knows I'm not a doctor. And so I'm trying to evaluate whether or not to send this person home or not. I did have a good source, Dr. Luna. He was my contact, and I would go over everything with him and try to be consistent as I possibly could on that stuff. Next thing is, some of you may have heard that we had to cancel some of our events. And we hated that. We being the council, myself, it was heartbreaking because I know a lot of people look forward to these events and things like that. We brought in our medical experts, got their opinions and things like that. We held off as long as we possibly could, but everything, it really just came down to prioritizing the health of our community and also our staff. The big events, your hometown Christmas and parade, it would take almost all of our employees working. And the health official says, that thing has gotten so large, you gotta back off. And so, unfortunately, we did that. We're hoping and praying we can get back to regular life soon, but that's where we're at on that. Wanted to report, now, there are a lot of different sources out there as far as numbers and things like that. The source I'm using comes from KTRE. They're reporting Polk County at 252 active cases as of this morning. Deaths in Polk County, 76, and we've had recoveries of 2,220. As of this morning, we've given out 1,600 vaccines in our community and 50 second vaccines. That's coming from Courtney Comstock. And a lot of people are frustrated because they can't get the vaccines right now. The go-to place has been Brookshire's, but as of this morning, Brookshire's is not taking any more of the applications. If you have some interest, if you're 65 and over, or if you're over 18 and have some health issues and things like that, and want some information on how to get your vaccine, if you fall in that group, then you can go to the Polk County Emergency Management page, and there's some information on there who to contact. And like I say, it's and that's not just in Polk County. I think that's statewide. These vaccines are just trickling in. And Courtney tells me that they've got the local physicians. They have made applications so that they can start dispensing these things. And for some reason, that's not going through as fast as they'd like to from the state level. But that's about all I can report on that. But hopefully we can get the vaccines in, and we can eventually get to where we get some type of normalcy back. Let's go to some of the things we did get accomplished this past year, despite all the other things going on. Proud to say that we were able to finally get our 2 new elevated water tanks completed. The first one you drove by this morning, I'm sure you saw, that's right up the street from Walnut Street. It's a 400 million gallon tank. The other one's on West Street, on the other end of town. It's a 150 million gallon water tank, elevated tank. Both tanks are filled and both tanks are in operation as we speak. We got our SCADA system installed on our 21 sewer lift stations. That's finally in place. The beauty about behind that is that we don't have to wait until citizens start calling about sewer issues. We don't have to wait till employees find out that there's an issue with the lift station. The SCADA system is set up so if it starts recognizing some problems, it sends out notices and phone calls to key employees, and hopefully they can get the problem resolved before the public realizes it. And probably the biggest and the one I'm most proud of is that council was able to get our city raw water contract with TRA renewed. And this is huge. We renewed it for a 50-year contract. So the citizens of Livingston they have water for the year up to the 2070. And that's pretty awesome. Water right now is pretty sacred. There's a lot of places in Texas that would love to be in our position. So kudos to all that's involved in that, getting that done. And then some of the things we got completed as far as projects. Dairy Queen, I know a lot of people are excited about that. An 80-unit apartment complex on West Park Drive, that's behind the hospital. They're up and going. We are now a 2 Jack-in-the-Box town. Lo and behold, and then Walgreens Pharmacy. And then a lot of these things we've been working on. We worked all through the year, but the companies wanted to wait till after the first year. But they're off and going now. Starbucks, Panda Express, both of those are in the Walmart parking lot. Chick-fil-A, I'm sure y'all all heard and seen that. That's big. That's out west of town. They've started on an 80-unit apartment complex just west of Dunbar, on the Dunbar campus. Country Place Senior Living, that's an assisted living facility up 59 North. I have 24 units in that. Blue Wave Car Wash, they will be starting soon. They already got the permit pulled, we've already approved the plans. That's going to be coming in next to the Discount Tire Store at 190 West. And then the Burke Outlet, that's the old Jackson building. They'll get that thing remodeled and be opening up pretty soon as well. So that's my part of the deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Josh. Let Josh do a little quick fire safety, and then after that we'll be available for any questions anyone has for either he or I. Okay?
Thank you all very much. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I talk loud, so if you can't hear me, you'll be able to hear me, or should be able to. So I just wanted to visit with you guys today about some home fire safety and maybe some business fire safety. So if y'all get bored or tired, just let me know. Just wave me off and be like, that's enough. We've heard enough. So first of all, fire safety. It doesn't. There you go. Oh, hey, I'm already getting the sign. They're already cutting me back.
He knows you. He knows you.
So fire safety. It really doesn't matter if you are 5 years old or 55 years old, anywhere in between or above or below those numbers. It is a very important thing that you take heed and listen to some fire safety. Okay. Residential fire safety. It's very important. A lot of times when you're home, we spend a lot of time sleeping. Some of us do, some of us don't. Nighttime is generally when we have most of our structure fires. And so it's very important. Smoke detectors are one of your #1 life-saving tools, okay? On a residential occupancy. Of course, new residential construction, those smoke detectors have to be placed in the home, hardwired, and battery backup. Okay, so they're in there according to the electric code. But in your existing homes, a lot of them may be simply a battery type smoke detector. Okay, so really and truly, you guys should be checking those smoke detectors at least once a month. Push the button. I have a stick. I went to Lowe's and they have these little reflector sticks. They're about yay tall. They're yellow or orange. And you can just push up there and test your smoke detector and just make sure it beeps. Every 6 months, okay, every time the time changes, you need to make sure you take a few minutes and change those batteries, okay? If it's a standard 9-volt battery, okay, you just go buy some 9-volt batteries, take it out, pop it in. Now they are making some new smoke detectors that are out on the market. I don't think we have any here, but you probably will see them soon, okay? They are a sealed unit, and they have a lifespan themselves of 10 years, okay? At the end of 10 years, you just throw it away. They have lithium batteries in them, and they guarantee them for 10 years. I still, you know, I've always been a believer that man makes things and man makes mistakes. So go ahead and check it. Don't just believe it that it's a 10-year detector. Go ahead and check it every month, make sure it's right. But whether it's a sealed unit or one that you can change the batteries in, go ahead and you know, make sure that it's working properly. Because a smoke detector sitting in the box on the table is not going to save you or any of your family's life, okay? Also, something that I try to, yes sir, in the back.
Once you have a fire in your house, can you reuse the smoke detector? Or do you have to get new ones?
You can reuse them depending on the level of smoke damage to the detector. Really and truly, if you've had a fire and there is heavy smoke throughout your house, it's just best if you throw them away and buy new ones. You know, whether they're hardwired, they have a little connector on the back, you can just unplug them, toss those and pop some new ones on, or if they're just a battery operated, you know, it's just best to go ahead and replace them. A lot of them, there's some photo ionization ones. They have a little light beam that they look through. There's some that are a smoke heat detector. Once they've been either heated to a point where they activate or they have activated due to smoke, they're kind of a one-shot deal. So, you know, why risk your life on something, you know, you could replace for, you know, 15, 20 bucks, so. Another excellent tool for your home is a fire extinguisher. Highly encourage the use of a fire extinguisher in your home. Keep it in the kitchen, maybe keep one in the garage. Just make sure that you get it checked annually by somebody that's licensed to do so, just to make sure that the fire extinguisher is still in good shape to use it. And also, a lot of people think fire extinguishers are one of those tools like a screwdriver, you throw it in your toolbox and you don't use it until you need it. Well, fire extinguishers do take a little bit of maintenance. If they're hanging on the wall in your kitchen, let's say, you'd want to take that smoke detector maybe once every 2 or 3 months or so and turn it upside down and give it a few taps, kind of let that powder inside, because they're a dry chemical fire extinguisher. It's kind of a heavy yellowish powder that kind of resembles like a heavy talcum powder type stuff. And especially if you have one in your vehicle, which a lot of people carry them in their cars and trucks. If you have one in your vehicle, just the vibration of your car sitting there idling, you may not feel it, but it's packing that powder down in that fire extinguisher. And so over the course of a year, you may get it out to use it, and you'll get just a short little and that's it. And it's because that powder is packed so hard in there that it will not come out the dip tube, and you'll just get just a little bit right at the bottom. So it's always a good idea to shake those things up and you know, just get them loosened up and make them work right. Anybody got any questions over those two things?
Josh, is there a combination carbon monoxide detector and smoke detector
There
that
is.
you can buy?
Yes, sir.
And it's like one unit that you can buy and hang on the wall?
Yes, sir. There sure is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're pretty effective. Of course, you mount them just like you mount your fire extinguisher, and I mean your smoke detector, and they work good.
Okay.
So, I guess we need to talk briefly about outdoor burning. Anybody want to talk about outdoor burning?
Yeah.
No? Oh yeah, somebody does. So, in the city, we have a no burning ordinance in the city. Typically, we do allow burning, however, for cooking fires, you know, for barbecue pit, whatever, or a warming fire if you're, you know, if it's cold outside. It's got to be seasonably appropriate. You can't be 85, 90 degrees and you claim it as a warming fire, you know. We probably will call you an ambulance. you know, you know, Dr. Shukan will call him too, just in case he's gonna need to take your temperature, you might have a fever. But, anyway, in the city, you know, no burning except for cooking or warming purposes. Out in the county, you know, you wanna make sure if you do burn out in the county that you be very careful, especially this time of year. I know, we had some discussion at our table about, you know, grass and brush fires and people doing control burns this time of year. And even though we've gotten so much rain, the ground itself is saturated. You know, we went to a fire the other day, and we got a brush truck stuck out there in the grass. The grass was burning, it burned right over the top, but we drove out there and got stuck, you know, and it just happens. So we've got to pay particular attention to that. And with like the weather today, it's pretty nice. It's a little bit cloudy, a little bit breezy. Would be a really nice day for a fire. However, if you check the weather this morning, you know that later this afternoon it's going to fair off. We're going to have 20-mile-an-hour winds, and that humidity is going to drop, which is going to make that grass on top really, really flammable. It's going to really dry out real quick, and it's going to go. So just be careful with your burning. Make sure you keep it small. Make sure you keep your water hose there, and remember the number to 911. Anybody got any questions? Anything?
Would you or Bill talk about dilapidated buildings a little bit?
Oh, well, I would love to talk about dilapidated. Bill, you want me to handle that one?
You bet.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like me to discuss in general?
Just in general, if buildings in town exist that are going to be taken care of.
Fantastic. Well, that is one of my duties with the city of Livingston. I am a code enforcement officer as well as fire marshal. And that's one of the things I do year-round is dilapidated buildings. When I started my dilapidated building program, I took it over from Ben Buchanan after he left, and started rolling on a lot of dilapidated structures and a lot of places that were in a state of disrepair throughout the city. What we try to do, we evaluate those properties and, you know, take a good long look at them to see what's going on there. Try to contact the property owners, visit with them, try to get some idea of what their plan is with it. We do give them a time frame, and then state law has some requirements in there that we have to meet. Certain letters have to be sent, certain time frames have to be met. And then we have started an aggressive demolition program where we go out and we tear them down. And once the demolition is done, we kind of sum up the cost of it and we place a lien on the property. We don't actually take the property. It still remains under the property owner's name and control. It just has a large lien against it, depending on the type of the demo. This year, well, last year, I really had a great plan for last year. You know, Bill talked about 2020. I had great plans for 2020. However, through some of the governor's orders that came out, we had to pretty much cease and desist on junk vehicles. We were not able to tow any junk vehicles. And we were very limited on what we could do with dilapidated housing due to COVID across state, people being kind of hemmed up because of it and everything. It's kind of hard to, you know, get on to somebody when nobody's doing anything. So that program kind of had to hit the pause button. And this year we're back on track. We've got a large list ready to go. We do have 1958 South Washington, which is just right back up here on the council agenda for this next coming council meeting. And then we've got two more that I'm hoping to get on the council agenda for March. So we're looking at a couple on Church Street. They're looking at working with the Geralds there at the old Gerald service station, try to get that cleaned up. And then looking on down kind of by Sonic there, we've got the Mr. Deefee's house down there right next to Sonic. It seems to be pretty much having some issues. So anyway, that's what we've got coming up for February and March. Yeah, we do have, we had a council meeting a couple of months ago regarding the old Royal Inn. Holiday Inn, whatever, it's been so many things, across from Pizza Hut on Business 59 northbound. Hearing went real well, council ordered the demolition. And so that time frame came, and the property owner asked for a show cause hearing, so they are actually gonna be at council this coming Tuesday, this council Tuesday, which is what, in 2 weeks, I believe, right? And, on the 9th, to talk to the council again, and, of course, if anybody asks, we give them an opportunity, you know, to come say their piece. But that is definitely on the list, and as soon as we get clearance to get that dude down, it is a goner.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right before Pizza Hut on the left, all those cars on the street, is that not a problem with the city?
Yes,
Is there
sir.
an ordinance?
Yeah, we're actually working on that. If the cars, technically, we do not have a no parking ordinance on that street. So if the cars are parked on the street to the side, if there's a passable enough, now I've been there several times when there's been a car parked in the middle of the road. And we've had to talk to them about that. But if the cars are in current date on their registration, then technically they're legally parked on the road. And so we're kind of hamstrung on that one. But there are some other vehicles there that which that's one of those things that kind of hamstrung us by the governor's orders. He canceled all the registration stuff for everybody until, April 14th, I think, is when that finally expires. So we'll be able to get back on our junk vehicles, and that'll be fantastic. We've got about 35 that are ready to tow right now. We're just waiting on clearance from everybody all the way up to let us do it, so that'll be good. Did I answer your question? Okay, somebody in the back here, yes, sir.
What about that house on
Right before Pizza Hut,
right past
come
Cedar
back,
Grove?
their next Dollar General.
Yes, sir. I'm hoping that will be in April. That's my prospect for April, one of them. Yes, sir. That is, it's been a problem for a long time. And
What was that? I didn't.
the house right past Cedar Grove, if you're going westbound, right past Cedar Grove on the left, that two-story right there.
BBVA, Jim, right there by BBVA.
Yeah, that was no insurance.
Yeah, there's some issues there, with some estate stuff and some other stuff where we're kind of hamstrung, but I think it's gonna come down to just having to get in there and do it and see what happens, so. Yes, sir.
Are we gonna be stuck looking at that Campbell Foreman building for the rest of our lives?
Well,
Maybe a train will derail.
I mean, for not an amount of money, I'll go tear it down right now.
yeah,
Courthouse, though.
unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be able to do anything with that one, not right now.
Why not?
I think that's tied up with the historical commission and the, all that good stuff.
Oh, okay.
Believe me,
Trying to remember
Can't
which
condemn it.
I've tried.
Tried to redo that a couple of years ago.
Train needs to derail.
Kim.
Yeah, that's right, you're right. You're right.
Oh, I've thought of a million ways. Get rid of that.
Occupancy, it depends on the use of the building. Basically, in the fire code, there is a table. And, you take whatever the building's gonna be used for, whether it's a business, mercantile, whatever, and, take the square footage. And each occupancy is a little bit different, whether it's like a net or a gross, type calculation. And then you just take that square footage and divide it by that number of people in the.
That table available, or we just give it to you?
Sure, no, but you can just get with me either way, or I can make you a copy of it, whatever you need to do.
Thank you.
You bet. Anybody got anything?
Well, you really didn't answer my question. JD, are we gonna be looking at that into perpetuity? Is
Yes.
there ways around it?
Most likely for a while, yes. Most likely.
Yeah, probably so. No, I don't think there's anything left.
Yeah, it's just brick.
Very good.